Hello everyone, this is TheIxelan here for a kind of special one-off video. I was tagged recently by Level Down Reviews, aka Snake Union? Is that the name? Now I have to check my Twitter to make sure. But yeah, on YouTube he's Level Down Reviews for a little thing, a video game tag that's going around. And I've never been one for chain things and really responding, so I almost kind of didn't do this. Snake Yukin, not crazy. I had to check my Twitter. Snake Yukin. Excuse me. Anyways, long story short, this one actually kind of interested me, so I figured I'd get on and do it. I know I'm still an incredibly small channel, but I figured I would have some fun answering some questions, and then I could tag some people that I've talked to a little bit, and it would be kind of fun. So I'm not entirely sure what you're looking at right now, because this is the first thing I'm recording in my Saturday record all my videos stuff. So I'm just recording audio because I have no idea what I'm going to do with this till I edit it. But you will see games at some point, because I'm going to talk about games, so I may as well show something. Anyways, we'll jump right into it. So there's six questions that we're supposed to answer when you're tagged, and then you tag other people, you know, standard, like, those chain response things. So I've written down the 6 questions, and I have some notes just to kind of get my thoughts going, because I have this problem where if I don't sit and think about it and I just kind of talk, I'll forget important shit. So I'll remember some cool stuff, and then I'll forget, like, the really important things. And I'll give you an example as we go. So the very first question, question 1, what is your favorite game of all time? And this is a perfect example, because the first thought in my head as I was watching Level Down Reviews video was, oh, Earthbound, man, I fucking love Earthbound. Earthbound is such a great game. But then I was like, well, what about Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, which, by the way, Level Down Reviews, that's the full name that you were forgetting. Then I was like, those are all really good games. But then I always get into this conversation with people because I think that you can objectively quantify a game's quality. You know, your taste and preference of a game can change. For instance, I can readily admit that some of the Mortal Kombat games were not the most solid fighting games of all time. But my favorite fighting genre game is the Mortal Kombat series. Like, I love all of those games, and I'll get into that in a minute. But you can objectively quantify some things. So I always kind of have issues with, and this is where I'm getting off track, because I'm kind of answering what is the best video game of all time. Because, you know, your opinion will factor into what is your favorite game, but then there is objectively, like, some people like to say there's the best game of all time. And I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I do think you can probably say there's the best game of genre X. So I kind of want to do that with my favorites, and it makes sense to me, because there's a lot of games that I really, really like, and so it's hard to pick a favorite that's so different from other games. So I'm gonna break them down into 2 categories, because really in my mind, my 2 favorite games, like favorite genres of all times, I've grown up on RPGs and fighting games, and so I love RPGs and I love fighting games, but they're so drastically different. It's really impossible for me to tell you that my favorite game is an RPG when I really love, like, the Mortal Kombat series. So my favorite game in the RPG genre is not Earthbound, which initially that was my first thought, because Earthbound is so nostalgic for me. But going back and playing it, like, there's definitely some tough grinding parts and some interesting things that it's a really fun and really nostalgic game. But without a doubt, my favorite RPG of all time has to be Skies of Arcadia. Skies of Arcadia was just the pinnacle of the Dreamcast. It was like Sega's shining glory. And then when the Dreamcast went under and it got ported to GameCube, I bought a freaking GameCube for it. Like, what? Like, that's the game that made me buy the GameCube, and I thought the GameCube was a stupid looking device. But I'm not gonna knock it, because I've seen what they've done with the Wii, and I'm not a huge fan of the Wii. I'd rather they go back to the GameCube. It was actually a really, really solid system, but I'm getting off track. So I really, really love Skies of Arcadia. For anyone unfamiliar, it's a game. It's an RPG set on a world that has been decimated in the past, like fucking destroyed. And because of the magic and the chaos and everything, the ground itself actually was thrown up into the air, and so it's a world of floating islands. and floating continents, and terrible winds and stuff separate continents from each other. So in effect, it's like take our world, throw it up in the sky, instead of the oceans to separate it, just make it like tornadoes and whirlwinds and shit. And it's pirates in the sky, like it's air pirates. It's fucking amazing. So it has that element that's just so fun, and there's just a bunch of crazy shit in it. And you get to like have actual airship battles, and you can customize your ship, and you can upgrade your ship, and there's just a lot of really fun stuff in that game for me. I love it. Plus, it has one of my favorite characters. He's just a badass. But it's not like the only RPG that I love. I also love Super Mario RPG, Earthbound. I'm just drawing a blank on some other games because I have in my notes that Final Fantasy VII is not one of them. So yeah, we'll get into this a little later. But Final Fantasy VII is we'll just get to it now. Final Fantasy VII is a fucking awful game. Whenever people talk about RPGs, they talk about their favorites, and it's like the default, like how when you talk about like your favorite action adventure style game, a lot of people just go Legend of Zelda, like the Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, even Majora's Mask. Like these are such well-known games, people love them. They're like, these games are amazing. And so when you go, oh well, what RPGs do you like? You get the casual RPG player who's like, oh, I like Final Fantasy VII, man, that was the greatest RPG. No, that game sucked donkey dick. Okay, Final Fantasy VII is an awful RPG. It's a long game. It's actually literally too long for an RPG, which you wouldn't think is possible, but it is. It has unbearably annoying grinds. It has overly complicated mechanics that are actually not fun. It has impossible challenges that are actually like able to be cheese. Like it's not finished. It's not a complete game. So even if there are elements of the game that you could like or wanted to like, the game's not complete. It's the common complaint that you see for all the new games coming out is, how the fuck do you release a game that's not finished, that's not polished, that has all these bugs and these errors? Well, everyone talks about the greatest RPG being Final Fantasy VII, and that's the fucking prime example. So why can't the companies just follow suit with that and release shitty games that aren't complete? That's why, because you people like that. And you people's just like a generalization, but Final Fantasy VII is not a complete game. There's so many elements missing, there's so many things not finished, and I'm not sure, if budget constraints or they got rushed for production, or whatever the case may be, but it doesn't make it okay in my book, so I'm not factoring it as a possible of anything, because Final Fantasy VII is just, except for like terrible characters. But Final Fantasy VII is a shitty game. Like, objectively, it's not a good game. You can like it can be nostalgic for you, that's fine, but it's not a good game. So that was my side Final Fantasy rant. Moving past that, fighting games. I mentioned it before. I love Mortal Kombat, the whole genre. I remember as a little kid getting the original Mortal Kombat on Super Nintendo, and I remember, I think I got it on Sega too. And I remember on Sega, you could just like turn the blood on or off, but for the Super Nintendo, you actually had to put in a code for it to get the blood to show up. Oh man, that was so much fun. Like I remember doing research to find the code to get that. Like it was really, really cool. So that and it was like one of those things, like, you're like 10 or 8 or 10, I don't know, I was young, I don't remember the exact age, because I feel old now, but I remember like playing it and going, oh, this is so cool, you can turn the blood on, you gotta do like all these crazy things, and like unlocking what was it Smoke or Noob? It was Noob, because Smoke was in the original Mortal Kombat, that you had to like do some crazy shit, and it was really just like a black-skinned Sub-Zero, but it was so cool to have elements like secrets like that in that game. And so then, Mortal Kombat 2 came out, and I remember going to summer camp at a college, and one of the things that we could do is just like during lunch when we were done eating, they actually had an arcade next to the lunchroom, and so we'd go in and I would play Mortal Kombat 2 like the whole fucking lunch hour, just and I was unbeatable because Mortal Kombat 2, and this is where I can objectively say that like Mortal Kombat 2 is not a very great game, because Melina is a broken ass character in Mortal Kombat 2. Like, she couldn't be beaten 90% of the time if you got your timing down, because you could drop from the air, hit them in the head, or roll under them. So if they blocked and you timed it right, at least as a kid, I don't know, maybe someone else could time it better, but I could do her teleport, which is she drops through the ground and then comes up above and does like a flying kick. So if you block high and I get off that, I can immediately roll into the ball that hits you low. So like you couldn't shift your block down. No, at least no one I played was able to. So I just remember shit like that. Like Melina, plus Melina is the hotness of Katana and like the diabolical violence of Baraka with like the blades and the teeth. So Melina's always my favorite character. When I explain to people that I think Melina's awesome, and they're like, who's Melina? And then I show them Melina, and they're like, oh, she looks like a hot chick. And then like I show them that she has the Tarkatan teeth. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Ixelan? And I'm like I don't want to put my penis in her mouth. Like, I don't know what's wrong with you people. Like, I just think she's an awesome character. That being said, the whole Mortal Kombat franchise started out, I mean, they used, was it a Playboy model or whoever, because I know the character who did Sonya's profile, because for those of you not familiar, the original Mortal Kombat was, the original Mortal Kombat game, they used actual, like, images of people, so they had them, like, pose in positions, because it was, like, very old school fighting, and then now everything's obviously computer generated. But regardless, like, they've stayed with that. They started with sex appeal and violence and over the topness, and they've really stayed with that, and, like, you can see it in the new ones with, like, the way the models, like, move and how they have disproportionate breasts, really like Dead or Alive, and I think Dead or Alive capitalized on that on the Xbox, with kind of a different fighting style, and then as Mortal Kombat's kind of risen again, and I think 2 or 3 generations ago, or not generations, but renditions, maybe editions, of Mortal Kombat, it actually, like, went downhill and dipped for a while, and then now it's started to climb back up on, like, quality of fighting game, but storyline-wise is one of the reasons I really love Mortal Kombat, and I think that's kind of my focus on all these games, is I really love a good story, and there's so much background and depth and, like, intrigue and what goes on in the Mortal Kombat universe that it's crazy. Like, you can spend, it's like watching an anime that you haven't seen before and you're like, oh, who is this character? And then you go on the wiki and like 7 hours later you've read all about the anime because it's been on for like 2,000 episodes. It's kind of like that. Like, there's just so much shit going on in the Mortal Kombat universe. So that's kind of insane. Anyways, that's that. And there's a bunch of other games that I really like Rogue Legacy is one of my favorite kind of platformer games. It's relatively newish. I loved Secret of Mana, which was a kind of Legend of Zelda RPG crossover game back in the day, because you could play multiplayer with, you could play like a Legend of Zelda game with multiplayer. Like, that was amazing. That was really cool, and that was on the Super Nintendo. So, and then I always love like strategy games like XCOM, Enemy Within or Enemy Unknown, which is a tactical game. Civilization. I've got Civ 5 now. I play that with some friends. That's really fun. I remember playing Civilization, I think it was 2 or 3, multiplayer gold edition with friends back in middle school. I love Kingdom Hearts. Just, there's a bunch of games like that. But I'm looking at, I just noticed my time, and I'm 13 minutes on question 1, so moving the fuck on. Question number 2. What is your favorite genre of video game? And I think I kind of already answered this. My favorite... my 2 favorite ones are RPGs and fighting games. I really, really love both of those. I'm really good at RPGs, and I'm not the best at fighting games, but I'm passable. I'm more of a casual fighter in that respect. Like, I wouldn't join a fighting game tournament because I don't think I have the twitch reflexes that you need to like really do that. It's probably the same reason I don't play like MOBAs, because you really need like twitch reflexes to get things done. I'm sure I could train that, but it sounds like work at that point, and I don't want to do that. So, anyways, yeah, that's that. Favorite genre is RPGs and fighting games. I also like action-adventure, platformers, comedy, casual games. Like, I'll pick up Smash Brothers, which I guess is technically a fighting game. I love playing Super Smash Brothers Melee. Brawl's okay. I haven't played the new one at all. Because I'm currently a PC gamer, so I don't really have systems other than my PS3. So anyways, moving past that. Question 3, what is the earliest game you remember? And, I mean, yeah, like, I've played Pong before, like the original Pong, which I think is one of the first games, so I guess that kind of answers that. But, like, the earliest game that I remember as a kid playing is... I thought it was called Beast Wars, and so I had to Google it, because I wanted to get the name right, because I always try to explain to people, and and no one ever gets it. It's Altered Beast. Altered Beast for the Sega Genesis. I remember playing, and it's this game where it's a side-scroller, hack and slash game. You are like a warrior with an axe, and then I don't remember what the like trigger was. I don't know if you got a certain points or you killed a certain enemy or you picked up an item, but you transform to a fucking werewolf, and then you continue to kill enemies. So it's a side-scroller hack and slash style like mini platformer, but you get to turn into a fucking werewolf. It's awesome. And I haven't played it in years, so I can say it's awesome because it's all nostalgia, and it's probably not any good. But that's the earliest game that I really remember. I do remember playing, that's on the Sega Genesis. I remember playing like Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers on the Nintendo. I remember playing Wolfenstein 3D and Pong and the not Space Invaders. There was this game back on like DOS or 95 where you had a bunch of little ships, or not ships, tanks on like a various, like it randomly generated a layout of like hills and stuff, and so you would fire rockets at the other tanks to try to beat them, and you could play multiplayer. I remember that game. I don't remember what it's called. So I remember old games, but my earliest memory for some reason is Altered Beast, which is why I had to look up the name because it's so long ago I didn't remember the name. Okay, so question 4: what game are you looking forward to? I'm not looking forward to any. Well, I am looking forward to games, but like I haven't had the time to really focus on like games that are coming out as much, which kind of makes me sad. But at the same time, I'm super frugal, so I tend to buy games once they're on sale. Which I should probably just buy more games, but whatever, I don't. So I just opened up my Steam here. Let's look at my wish list. So I do have some games on my wish list. I really want Monaco. I haven't gotten around to that. I've seen people play it. It looks pretty good. I want Tabletop Simulator, but that's for a separate non-video game related reason. I just want to have like a Tabletop Simulator so I can kind of play some more board games and casual and card games with people. Then I have to convince my friends to buy it as well. So that's why I haven't bought it yet, is because other people don't have it, and I'm trying to work on their convincing. I want Rebirth for when I'm done with my current Binding of Isaac series. I just got Plague Inc. Evolved recommended to me by one of my friends, so I'm gonna check that out. I'm kind of looking forward to that because I've heard good things about that. I've seen the entire playthrough of South Park: The Stick of Truth, but I still want to play it myself, and that's a little old. Beyond Earth, Civilization Beyond Earth, which is like Civ 5/Civ 6. I don't know. It's sci-fi Civ, which sounds amazing, so I definitely want that. That looks really cool. Yeah, those are kind of the games I'm looking forward to at the moment. Most of them are already, I mean, all of them are already out. I don't really have anything like that's coming out soon on my list. I do want to play Pokemon X and Y and Omega Red and Alpha Sapphire. I think Omega Red and Alpha Sapphire just came out as I'm recording this, so I guess that's something I'm kind of. Oh, Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat X, MKX is coming out, and I haven't followed it as much as I want to, but every now and then I'll open up my Twitter and they'll post like a new screenshot of some of the character models, and that shit looks sick. So that's kind of exciting too. This goes back to the, and you kind of saw my rambling. That was my progression of thought as I thought through the question, and that's why I needed to have notes going into this, because I apparently didn't write that down, and look what happened. Yeah, I didn't have anything written down for what game you're looking forward to, and so make shit up. All right, so question 5: what is your least favorite video game character? Well, that's simple. I hate a lot of video game characters, so I guess it's not simple. But I think the issue is I don't have like an ultimate least favorite. I think it goes like by game. Like there are some games where I don't have anyone that I dislike, but most games I hate like at least one person. But the first one that came to me was Pokey from Earthbound. I loathe Pokey. Pokey is your next door neighbor at the beginning of the game, and a meteor crashes near your house. For anyone that hasn't played Earthbound, a meteor crashes near your house, and you both go investigate it, and then you split off and don't see each other again for a while. And basically what happens is, while you are contacted by the forces of good to prevent a great evil, Pokey is contacted by the forces of evil to stop you. and he wants to be awesome, but he's also a giant coward. And so in a lot of ways, like, he represents what a lot of people fight with every day, I think, if we're getting like really deep into it. And I think that's where my hatred for him comes, because he's that element of yourself that you always want to hate, like that fear of shit, but he's also just super fucking annoying. So I hate Pokey. I also, on the Mortal Kombat side, I hate Quan Chi. Not because of his fighting style or anything like that. I just think he's a really fucking stupid character. He's a bitch. I've hated him since he was first introduced in Mortal Kombat 4 or Gold, or whenever he came in, as like this alternative of Shang Tsung, because they had killed Shang Tsung, and I'm okay with them killing Shang Tsung. But the introduction of Quan Chi was not necessary. It just, he's been a conniving little bitch the whole time he's existed. And I would just like him to be erased from the timeline if I could. Like, that would be the greatest thing. And then, going back to Final Fantasy VII being a shitty game, Cloud's a terrible character. He's just awful. Sephiroth is even worse. He's just like 120% cliche. And then Aerith is okay, but she's kind of annoying, and I disliked her after I played Final Fantasy VII, not necessarily because of any character flaws or anything, but because of the way the game works, which for anyone that hasn't played Final Fantasy VII, spoiler alert, don't listen for the next 5 seconds, Aerith dies, and it's fucking stupid. And when she dies, the game doesn't give you any hint that she's supposed to die, or that that's going to happen, or that you're never going to get to see her again. So if you've used her because she's a fucking white mage, then you're screwed. And you just spent like 10 hours leveling up a character that you don't even get in the fucking game anymore. That's bullshit. Spoiler alert over. So anyways, yeah, that's why I dislike Aerith. Not because of her character, but because of what happens to her in the game. So moving on. Past that, least favorite characters, get on to number 6. The favorite video game character. And my favorite video game character is kind of tough. There's a lot that I really like. One of my earliest favorites, and I tend to, people make fun of me for this. I've had discussion with coworkers at work about Harry Potter houses, and apparently I'm in Slytherin. And I can't really argue with that because it's fun, and I think Slytherin's a cool house, but I tend to focus and choose villains over heroes, not because I want them to win, but because I think villains are more interesting, and I think that villains are what make the heroes. Like, you can't really have Batman without the Joker. If Batman's only like villains were street thugs and maybe the Riddler or the Penguin, like, he wouldn't be the badass that he is. It's because he has to deal with the psychotic Joker that Batman can do what he does, and like, it's because of Bane that he trains so physically. Like, it's that same thing. Like, if you don't have Lex Luthor to counteract Superman, is Superman really like who he is? Like, if you don't have Lex Luthor and Lobo and like all these things. Anyways, that's a side conversation. So I tend to really like some villains, or just anti-heroes in general. So on the Sonic side, my favorite character in the Sonic series is Knuckles. I think Knuckles is the most badass. Plus, I mean, when he first got introduced, you could glide. And I was like, I can fly in a fucking Sonic game? Are you serious? Like, this is amazing. So that was great for me. So I love Knuckles. My favorite Pokemon is Mew, which I think if you've ever seen my Pokemon series, you should probably know that by now. Mew's adorable. I love Mew, which is not a villain. Just side note. But in the Mario series, I love Bowser. I think Bowser is so much fun. One of my favorite things about Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, was that you got to play as Bowser. He joined your team, and I was like, what? Really? I get to use the like big bad as a character? Seriously? This is amazing. So yeah. Same with Smash. In Smash, I don't always use Bowser, but he's definitely a character that I'm pretty good at. And when I bring him out, people are like, Bowser's so slow, and then I win with it, it's like, what the fuck does this guy just do with Bowser? Like, Bowser's got talent. That being said, my favorite character in Smash is Peach, because I kick ass with Peach. Put her in a little white dress and just down smash and knock people the fuck out. Anyways. And then I think we talked about it earlier, Melina is probably my favorite Mortal Kombat character. And then on the Skies of Arcadia side, going way back to the very first question, with Skies of Arcadia being my favorite RPG, one of the reasons is it has Gilder, and Gilder is just like this he's like a pirate version of Batman. He's just awesome. He's so freaking cool. Gilder is a very classy, interesting ladies' man with just like all the suave that you would ever want. So Gilder's badass. So yeah, that's some of my favorite video game characters. I know I didn't just name one specific one, but that's what happened. So anyways, I'm going to tag a few different people. I can't tag Level Down Reviews because he tagged me, but I'll tag a couple other people. I'll tag first Dinglebillies. These two guys, Jeff and Jason, are really, really, really funny, and I wish more people would watch their stuff. They do Battle Block Theater. They do a lot of Pokemon, which is how I found them. They're doing some Borderlands. I haven't actually looked. I've been out of town this past week, so I haven't checked their channel lately. But they were also doing Dark Souls, so I don't know if they're starting anything new. But they got a lot of good stuff. I definitely recommend checking them out. And then I'm going to tag Lorgon111, Dr. Brian Lorgon111, who is a Minecraft player who's a much bigger channel than me, but was actually nice enough to kind of talk to me and help me out with some stuff when I first started, and actually lives relatively near me, like at least in the same state. So he's a really cool guy. He's also responsible for Minecraft Bingo, the minigame, which is an amazing minigame of Minecraft. If you like I like the starting elements of Minecraft where you go and you get stuff. I don't like the mid grind between once you have stuff and like end game. I don't like that middle grind as much, which is kind of why sometimes I stop playing Minecraft and start and then stop. But Minecraft Bingo is just that beginning part, and it's a race against other people. It's hella fun. Anyways, so I recommend that. And so yeah, check out his channel. I'm gonna tag him, so I challenge him to do that. That's 2. And then I'm also going to tag my friend, the one who told me to do who recommended Plague Inc. Evolved, is Seraphim Starlight, who's one of my friends from grade school back in the day, who plays a lot of games and is probably actually going to yell at me about hating Final Fantasy VII, but I'd love to hear her thoughts on responses to this. So that's the third person. Oh, and then Sea Otter Games, who is also a significantly bigger channel than I am, but I checked his channel, he hadn't done this. So Sea Otter Games, tagging you. You've been very helpful to me on the Let's Play subreddit. Every time I've posted or had an inquiry or question, especially on like the technical side, his videos are very well edited. Does a lot of like one-off things, but just a very, very good channel. So those are the 4 people I'm going to tag. I don't know the limit or recommended number of tagging, but Level Down Reviews tagged 4, so I'm tagging 4. So Dinglebillies, Lorgon111, Dr. Brian, the Minecraft player, and then Seraphim Starlight and Sea Otter Gamer. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and maybe if you agree or disagree with any of my points, feel free to respond. Let me know what you thought to any of my question answers, and I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.